And yes, this is Read It or Skip It. Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're diving into Charlotte McConaghy's really remarkable novel, Wild Dark Shore, Life, Death, and Survival's Porous Edge. Our mission really is to unpack this incredible book, explore its big questions, its insights, especially that central haunting question: what future is truly worth surviving for?
And that question, it's not just, a story point. It echoes through the whole narrative, makes the book feel so, well, now, incredibly relevant. McConaghy doesn't just ask it, she makes you feel it. Makes it almost uncomfortably real, considering, well, everything going on today.
Right. You mentioned making us feel it. How does she do that? Especially with blurring the lines between life and death, making them feel, well, porous, permeable.
Yeah, porous is the perfect word. She does it by making the dead a real presence, not just a memory tucked away. On Shearwater Island, where a lot of the story happens, the living and the dead sort of coexist. It's unsettling, but also strangely comforting sometimes. You've got Dom, for example, talking to his dead wife, like she's just, right there. And Rowan, she's constantly interacting with these really vivid memories of her brother, River. It's almost like a conversation. And then there's Orly, who seems to have this deep, almost spiritual connection with the dead creatures on the island. It's this powerful way of showing how loss isn't just an ending, right? The people, the experiences, they stick with us, they keep influencing things.
But it goes even further than memories, which is what really blew me away. The narrative structure itself. It literally brings the dead into the present conversation. I mean, without spoiling too much, you have chapters where characters who have died are actually the speakers. They're talking among the living in the text itself. And then that twist, that revelation about Rowan. What does that tell us about how McConaghy is using storytelling itself? About loss and perception?
Oh, that Rowan revelation is. Yeah, it's powerful. It shows how telling a story can, break through normal limits. It suggests that stories themselves can do something profound, right? They can bring people together around loss, hold that whole spectrum, living and dead, together. It makes you think, doesn't it? About the stories we tell and the ones we listen to. How they let us carry the influence of those we've lost, how they let the dead keep speaking in a way. And this blurring, this personal grief on the island, it sort of ripples outwards. It becomes about this wider collective thing. The book really tackles that heavyweight, the wearying responsibility, as she puts it, of trying to shepherd the living through danger. And it looks hard at our capacity for, extreme self-sacrifice for the sake of continuation.
Yeah, it's not just personal anymore. It's about the group, about humanity. And she makes that so concrete, so literal. With the Salt family and their mission, preserving seeds, it's like they're literally trying to save the future in a box. Against this backdrop of potential global disaster, it makes the abstract feel very real.
Exactly. And the Salts face this. McConaghy calls it an incalculable math. It's brilliant. Because they find out they can't save all the seeds. So what do? Do you save the ones most likely to grow to feed people? Or protect the really rare ones, the fragile ones that might disappear forever otherwise?
Such impossible choice.
Right, and then there's the idea of letting their imperfect hearts decide. Maybe choosing the ones that just resonate emotionally. It's incalculable because there's no right answer, no formula when the stakes are that high. It's messy, it's human, it's heartbreaking.
And listening to this, you realize this isn't just science fiction, is it? These dilemmas about what to save, what to sacrifice, they echo so many real-world things we grapple with. Legacy, the environment. What kind of world are we actually building for our kids? It forces you to think about your own priorities, your own seeds. What also struck me, beyond the big themes, was how McConaghy switches gears so smoothly. One minute it's this gripping thriller, edge-of-your-seat stuff. The next, it's this deep philosophical dive into, what do we do at the end of the world? How does she pull off that balance?
She is just incredibly skilled at it. That agile toggling, I call it. The plot hooks you, there are cliffhangers, real danger, but then bam, you're thinking about these huge existential questions. And her language, it's so precise, so poetic. Take the word shore. It's not just a place. It's like the perfect metaphor for how the novel feels. A shore is always changing, right? That space between land and water. It shrinks, it expands, maybe it's crumbling away. But it can also be solid ground, a place to stand. It perfectly captures that tension in the book. Are we safe? Or is everything slipping away?
Yeah, that really resonates. And the book is full of these small moments, these images that just stick with you. Like that description of the whale who lost her calf and the other whales. They bring the body back to her and just surround her, grieving together. It's incredibly moving.
It is, and it makes you think about us. about
Yeah.
humans. We do that too, don't we? We gather around those who are grieving, even when there's nothing we can actually do to fix it, to bring back what's lost. McConaghy suggests that this act itself, this connection, this shared warmth and empathy, that's another way we survive. It's fundamental.
That communal support.
Yeah.
And then there's that other scene I keep thinking about. Dom, his kids, and Ro.
Yeah.
They've just had this amazing rare feast. And disaster's literally like right there. But they go out on the shore and they dance. They make this language of joy with their bodies. It's such a contrast.
Oh, that scene, it feels like a cipher for the whole book, a key. It says that even right at the edge, facing the absolute worst, we can still find moments of joy. We can connect. These connections might be temporary, fragile even, but they matter. We can still create beauty together, even with catastrophe looming. You see it too with Ro becoming this sort of mother figure for Dom's kids. It's like things coming together, maybe splitting apart later, but leaving something important behind. Fusion, mitosis, these temporary shapes.
And that theme of preservation, of sacrifice for the future, it echoes everywhere, doesn't it? You mentioned the seeds, but there's also the mother wombats using their bodies to shield their young from fire, or trees whose seeds only open in intense heat, or even mothers dying in childbirth. That pattern of giving life, protecting life, even at immense cost.
Absolutely. It's woven through the fabric of the narrative, and her language reinforces it all. She has this amazing ability with words that, well, they almost do what they describe, onomatopoeia or something like it. Think about the setting, Shearwater, just saying it. You almost hear the water, feel the sharpness, the hidden blade she mentions. The name itself tells you this is a place of danger, of cutting edges.
So the sound itself sets the mood. Wow. Does she do that elsewhere? With language.
Definitely. Look at the character names. Claire, Fen, Ro, Dom, Raph. They're short, sharp, monosyllabic. Staccato. They kind of puncture the text like little bursts of life against this vast, perilous backdrop, almost like Morse code, Dot, dot, dash, life, living, quick, intense.
That's a fascinating observation. It adds another layer entirely. So putting it all together, Wild Dark Shore. It's just masterful. The sense of place she creates, the way the story pulls you in, but also how it tackles these enormous questions. What we owe each other, what we owe the future, how we carry the dead. It's easy to see why people are calling it one of the best books of 2025. It really stays with you.
It definitely does. And maybe that leaves a question for you listening right now. Thinking about those impossible choices, about legacy. What seeds are you trying to protect in your own life or looking ahead? Especially knowing you can't save everything. Or maybe. How do the dead, the people or memories you carry, how do they keep speaking to you? How do they shape your present?
Some heavy but important things to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Wild Dark Shore. And yes, this is Read It or Skip It.